Baylor College of Medicine heard the siren call of the double helix and fell under its spell. It was the voice of the future. Today, the college's Department of Molecular and Human Genetics ranks at the top nationally, with nearly $50 million in funding from the National Institutes of Health, more than 50 primary faculty members, and active programs in both basic and clinical sciences. Its clinical genetic labs bring patients personalized medicine, and its top-ranked genome sequencing center is an integral part of the department's effort to make whole gene sequencing. The Foundation gave Baylor College of Medicine more than $20 million, and its generosity continues today. That event coincided with then Chair of Medicine Henry McIntosh hiring Tom Caskey to head genetics in the Department of Medicine. Caskey recruited a former postdoc of his, Art Beaudet. This gave genetics a foothold in both medicine and pediatrics.
And I came down and I saw this open plate here, and I thought, well, this is kind of a good opportunity. I like this because I can shape something.
During those early years, Caskey applied for funding from a foundation started by another Texan, Houstonian Howard Hughes. Caskey became the first Howard Hughes Medical Institute scientist funded at Baylor.
That was over at Children's Hospital. And the tool at that point was cytogenetics. And so we'd see a patient and we'd want cytogenetics on the patient, and the person doing cytogenetics said, well, you can only do that on Wednesday afternoon, and if the patient's ever had an antibiotic, then you can't do that study. And I'm sitting there thinking, who told him that? What does an antibiotic have to do with a mammalian cell? So Art and I got irritated. Lynn is in the lab working, and he said, well, I know how to do cytogenetics. So we started bringing samples into the laboratory. I mean, you couldn't get by with this today at all. But we'd bring samples into the laboratory. Art and I would bring them over from the hospital. Lynn would run the studies, and we'd make our medical diagnoses.
By 1977, the group had established its first laboratory in cytogenetics, first at St. Luke's, later moved to the Baylor campus. It was in October of 1980 that Caskey began expanding the program, setting the course of the department over the next 40 years. Caskey shared his vision for building a strong program with Beaudet. By 1985, both Beaudet and Caskey were getting restless. With genetics divided between medicine and pediatrics, it was difficult to recruit good scientists. Obtaining laboratory space became so difficult that at one point, Caskey converted his office into a laboratory and moved his desk into the hall. As a joke, his students moved it into a freezer box.
Cytogenetics was, that was the start, and look at all the things they're doing now. It's just absolutely marvelous. So we got started in that way, and then the demand started ramping up to see more patients. People could see the benefit, particularly in pediatrics. The only way that we were going to be able to pull all this together was we would form a genetics program. We'll make you an institute. Well, that did help with the recruiting. We were growing nicely, we were doing well, and yet this new era was coming upon us, the recombinant DNA era. And I thought, we're not ready for this.
Caskey took a sabbatical year at the Medical Research Council in the United Kingdom, where he started the cloning of the LESH9 gene, what he called a transformative experience.
In the afternoon, he said, we've got a very strange finding. We've got a repeated sequence, a triplet repeated sequence in the region where you think the gene should be. And I said, Richard, that's it. We were able to figure out this feature of anticipation, which you could molecularly explain it. Well, you can't believe how excited we were about that. We understood this totally new mechanism of mutation, a new class of mutation. I mean, it was just so exciting.
That led to rapid sequencing of the myotonic dystrophy gene and aided in Huda Zogby's finding the gene involved in spinocerebellar ataxia.
Which was Tom Caskey, to pick people and to give them an opportunity to really do their best and to challenge them, to make damn sure they did their best.
In 1994, Tom Caskey left Baylor College of Medicine for industry. The decision was made to make genetics a full department. A nationwide search proved that the best man to head the department was already at Baylor, Art Beaudet.
And from day one to the present, trying to make genetics the best it can possibly be at a worldwide level.
30 years earlier, Caskey wrote a statement about the future of the department that Butler says rings true today and is still true for the future.
I feel strongly that now is the time to act with a vigorous expansion of our medical genetic program.
I'm confident the program can be made
the national leader. I wish to see us take the opportunity